Rebecca Peterson, I am so excited for you to be here with me on Confidence Conversations today. How are you?
I am doing so well. I'm so excited to be here. I have been binging your podcast over the last few days, like getting ready for our conversation. So it's been really fun to listen to all the other people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I get to be one of these people. So
Yes,
thank you for having me.
of course. And you are one of these people, a magnificent woman who is making waves and changing the trajectory of business for other women and individuals. So I want to hear your entrepreneur journey because you
Yeah.
have such an interesting story.
I was going to say, like, buckle up because I will tell you everything.
Yeah, let's go.
So, my entrepreneurship journey starts way back in like 2014, I would say, when I was studying graphic design at college, but I had zero desire to be an entrepreneur, to do anything freelance. I thought, like, I just want a regular job and that's going to be my thing. And so I put it off forever, and people would come to me with random little things, nothing interesting or significant. And I would, dabble here and there, but like I never really did it. And then after I graduated, I took a job in like an in-house advertising agency. And then I worked at like a high-end dental lab doing design work, like just all this stuff kind of here and there. And I finally got a job that I loved for this nonprofit foundation doing website design. I was managing their creative team, just like I loved it. It was perfect. And at the time, I had one baby and I was pregnant with my second. And my husband got this job in Texas, which is where we live now. We were in Utah at the time. And I went to my boss. I went to like my boss and my boss's boss and my boss's boss's boss. And I was like, I would love to continue working here. I'm moving. There's absolutely no reason that I couldn't do this job remotely. Would you consider it? And they were like, we're so sorry. Our company's not set up for remote work. It's just not something that we offer right now. We're sad to see you go. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We were, very amicable. And so I moved. This was in 2019. I moved and I was like, that's fine. I'm going to have another baby. I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom because I'm still thinking like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a freelancer. Like, this is not my path. That summer was absolutely miserable. I cried every single day, just thinking like, what am I doing? Like, am I supposed to be a mom and be home with my baby? Am I supposed to be doing something else? Like, I would kind of look for part-time work because, mind you, I'm pregnant. So I'm like, I'm going to find a job, quote unquote. And so I'm just like going back and forth all the time on how I'm feeling. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking what everyone has told me for years and years, which is like, you can do freelance, you could start your own business, you could do your own thing. And I had resisted for so long. And it was really this period of like soul searching for me. And I was praying all the time. And I really believe that like God does not have a specific plan for us. I believe that we are co-creators of our life with God. And so I really felt like, I would pray and be like, what do you want me to do? What's the path for me? And I kind of felt like God was putting it back to me. Like, yeah, Rebecca, what do you want to do? How do you want to go about this? And I just had this like tickle on my heart. I don't even know how to describe it, but like I couldn't let it go. And so I was like, well, I love designing things. I love creating things. I'm really good at the digital stuff. Like, let's just try it. And so that was when I first kind of dipped my toe. And like, if you scroll back on my Instagram, please don't because it's so cringy. But if you scroll back, you can see when I started to just tiptoe into this world. And I posted like, now booking graphic design services. And I can't even remember. I mean, at this time, I had no plan. I had no strategy. I was like, I feel like this is what I want to do. I feel like God is behind me with this. So I'm just going to go for it. And so I just started like, I remember I would post and be like, does anybody need a graphic designer? Does anybody need help with things? And I got like a little project here and a little project there. And it was so like sporadic.
Mm.
And finally if you're following this journey. So at this point, it was like 2019. Okay. And my second baby was born. And in 2020, I remember I sat down with my husband and I was I want to do this for real. Like I kind of tried it. I can see the potential in it and like, I'm going to try it for real. And I made a magnet board in my room and I put a sticky note for each month and it had $1,000. And that was my goal. I want to make $1,000 each month in 2020.
Mhm.
And so I want to say it was February. Can't remember exactly, but at the beginning of 2020, I had this thought to offer what I called a website glow up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because at this point, I'm like, I know that I have the skills, but I don't really know if people will pay me for it.
Right.
Right? Like you're in that like
That's
gap.
a whole
Like,
nother thing to unpack, which we're going to dive into. So finish
yes,
the story and then
yes,
we'll talk about value and worth.
yes. Because this was huge in like building my confidence as a person and also as a business owner. So I'm like, okay, I am going to offer this website glow up and it's going to be $250. It's going to be 30 days and it will be like an entire website redo. And I like posted it on my Instagram. And within 24 hours, I had booked, I think 5 or 6 of those. And I was ecstatic. Like I came to my husband and I was like, look who just hit her goal. Like, I'm going to make $1,000 this month and then some. And it was just like, that feeling of when you're like, I'm going to put something out there and I think it's valuable. And other people may tell me it's valuable, but until somebody is willing to give some of their hard earned money, there's an unknown. And so to have other people say quickly, yes, that is valuable. Yes, I'm going to give you my money. That was such a huge boost. And that decision put me on a trajectory that I could not have anticipated because from there, it just snowballed. So I slowly raised the price to $500 and then I raised it to $600. And then I remember the first client I booked at $1,000 for her website glow up. And that was huge. And then she wanted something else. She wanted to add on. And I told her, like, that is going to be an additional fee. And she was like, great, let's do it. And I remember just thinking, like, oh my gosh, this is how it works. And getting to that point where I started turning people down for the previous offer, which we can talk about that because that is one of the challenges of starting with a very cheap offer is that you have to then build up your brand to be able to charge more. But I was able through that process to see my own value as a business owner and say, this is what this project is worth to me. This is what it should be worth to my client. And here's how I'm going to charge for that. Here's how I'm going to do that. And from there, it really has just turned into, I don't want to make it sound like I'm a multimillionaire because I'm not. It's been slow and steady growth, but it has been growth and it has put me on the path of growing my business by developing my own confidence, charging in alignment with the value of what I'm selling and marketing effectively. And all of that has just changed my life. Like I feel like I just have the best job now because I work from home. I work 3 days a week. I have a successful business. Like I said, I'm not one of those people that's making 100 grand every month, but I am truly thriving in my business and doing what I love. And I just feel like that is a huge, huge blessing. So there's the long story of my journey, but really how I got started and where I am now.
Yeah, I love your story because it's such a real one and an authentic one. And I think, sometimes, most of the times, right, we hear these stories of individuals with these very grand goals, which is great. That's how it
Mhm.
happens a lot of the times, right? I have
Yeah.
this goal to change the world. I'm going to be an entrepreneur and do all of the things. But sometimes it doesn't look like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our path, whether you're an entrepreneur, career pivot, like whatever it is, it's
Mm-hmm.
the resistance. It's
Yes.
the path that, you know, we're driving down this road and this is like the back alley that we would never take.
Yes. Yes.
And it seems sketchy and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the path for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something so special and magical and beautiful about being able to listen to that still small voice And even when you, at the core of your being, are like, I don't want anything to do with this. This is me. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But still going for it because there's a sense, an intuitive sense,
Mm-hmm.
this is the path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a whole different world.
Yeah. And being willing to adapt. I mean,
Mhm.
after I started doing, like I said, I started with websites
Mhm.
and that evolved into branding, which is what I do now, because I realized that in order for me to give someone a website, they have to have a brand. And so I adjusted and now I focus primarily on branding. I still do a lot of websites, but that's the focus because that's where my journey took me. And I was willing to say, okay, I'm going to adapt to this. And only you can know when a pivot or an adjustment is something that's coming from a place of power and confidence versus a place of lack or scarcity or like discouragement. I see people that are really concerned about AI and the things that it's doing and the way that it's changing. And if you feel called to change your work towards AI or whatever it is, I think you can pursue that. But if you're only doing it because you feel scared or discouraged, I don't make good decisions from that place.
And no one does. And I
Right.
think that's so important to know, like, there's the baseline, right? Like we can think about the fact
Mhm.
that we've got to put food on the table, we have to sustain whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beyond that point, this is
Mhm.
what we're talking about right here.
Mhm.
Right? It is, do my decisions come from a place of alignment,
Mhm.
soul with my spirit, with
Mhm.
source? And I think that that's such an important question to ask yourself.
Mhm.
It's not about money. It's not about, what's happening and how do I stay relevant? What is everyone else doing? I
Right.
think focusing on those things, like it's great to watch the news and be understanding of what's happening in the environment.
Sure. Yeah.
You've got to know what's right for you because that is the trajectory that's going to
Mhm.
give you that snowballing type of growth that you've
Mhm.
experienced. But now I want to
Mhm.
circle back and talk about charging your worth because this is something that
Yes.
entrepreneurs struggle with. I struggled with it.
Mhm.
And you just don't know a lot of the times. And I think that there's something special about, starting in with that low hanging fruit so that you can get the
Mhm.
confidence to move forward. But
Mhm.
what was your mindset? What was your thinking when you knew
Mhm.
to charge more to make this worth my time? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, it started out very logical, right? Because I did those like 4 or 5 website glow ups and I was thrilled. I was putting my heart and soul into them. I did excellent work. And I sat down with my husband and I calculated the time that it took me to complete a website based on the rate that they were paying me. And when I looked at my hourly rate, it was about $5 an hour. And that was a really hard place to get to. Like I remember just sobbing over it because I was like, here I am. I thought I was making money. I thought I was doing good work. And like it doesn't add up. Right. And so from a logical standpoint, I had to raise my prices. I was like, it has to be worth it for me. It has to pay more than I could make working at a restaurant. It has to be enough so that I can pay for childcare, kind of these logical things. So I started there, right? And I call this like my mad scientist mode, where I'm just like, let's just look at the numbers. Let's just put it on paper, pros, cons, make the list, outline the time, all of that stuff. And I came up with a number. I can't remember what it was, but I came up with a number that was, basically what would be fair, quote unquote, for the time that it takes and what I'm providing. Um, and it was so interesting because I charged a couple at that price. It was probably somewhere around 500 to 1,000. And it stopped feeling good.
Mhm.
Where when I first signed those $250 clients, that $1,000 client, I was so excited about it. And that exchange felt so good to me. And at some point, I remember somebody paid me, it was probably around $1,000. And I felt like, ugh, I don't want to do this project, even though they're paying me $1,000. And I hope that doesn't sound snotty because it wasn't coming from a place of like, I'm better than this. It was coming from a true inner sense of my time is really valuable. And this price and this project is no longer aligned with the way that I view my time and my skills. And so it was that feeling of like, I'm not excited about this anymore, where I started asking myself, okay, what would somebody have to pay for me to be excited about it? And I've had, I don't want to say the luxury, but the opportunity, I guess, in my business where a lot of times I'm booked out.
Mhm.
So I'm at capacity. And to me, that tells me that I can raise my price because I'm maxed at what I have. But I don't think that you have to be at capacity in order to justify raising your prices. Sometimes it just feels right. And you
Mhm.
can say, you know what? I haven't signed a client at $2,500, but it's just not the right price. And I'm going to raise it anyway in the faith that when it is the right price, the right client will come. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me where I would be charging $2,500. I remember for a long time, my package was about $3,500 for branding and website. And it started to feel not good, and I've added a lot to my packages. I learned so much. I was really specific on who I was serving. And so, but I wasn't maybe signing a client at that rate. And so it's a leap of faith, right? To raise your prices and say, okay, this package is now $5,000. And as soon as I would do that, as soon as I would like make the decision, somebody would inquire.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes we are tested a little bit like, okay, are you really serious about this? And as soon as you make that decision, I call them powerful decisions where you're like, I've got my own back, I'm willing to fail. I'm going to do this. I think God or the universe responds by saying, okay, great. Here's the client that's ready to pay that price, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's about taking that leap. It's about taking that inspired action.
Mm-hmm.
And the inspiration, a lot of the times, is going to come from within. We can see that other individuals are maybe doing it for that rate or maybe even,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
we haven't done it. And so that's the point at which imposter syndrome sinks in. We're
Mm-hmm.
thinking, who am I to do this? Blah, blah, blah. Who are you
Mm-hmm.
not to do
Right.
it? It's a question I'd like to ask.
Right.
But how did you get over that sort of imposter syndrome or sort of questioning whether you could charge what you were
Like
worth?
whether I'm good enough to charge these prices. I've
Yeah.
thought that before. I've definitely thought that before. I think it's a superhuman natural response to say like, who am I to charge 5,000? I don't say this to be braggadocious, but only to give you a complete picture. My brand and website package now is about $15,000,
Mhm.
and I'm very confident in that price. I don't feel weird or icky saying that. I feel very confident that that is actually worth far more than the price that I'm charging. But that had to come for me. It came kind of in three ways. The first is that I had to really start small,
Mhm.
where I could not have jumped to a $15,000 package right away. Some
Mhm.
people can. Some people can say, like, you know what? I declare that I am worth this and I'm going to make that jump. For me, I had to go step by step on that ladder, right? So if that's you, don't feel bad about saying, I'm just going to raise my prices by $500 or $1,000 until I get to, a really good place. Um, and the second thing for me was, I don't want to say fake it till you make it because I really don't believe in that. What I like to think of is act the way that you want to feel.
Mhm.
And this is really where branding comes in. And this is my expertise, really. Like, one of the main things that I do with my clients is help them position their business in such a way that higher prices feel normal,
Mhm.
right? And so for me, that was refining my image, right? The way that I was presenting myself, the way that I was talking about myself, and who I was talking to. I think there is a tendency as entrepreneurs to talk to people who don't have money. And we do this a lot, we're talking to people who are broke, and people who don't have money can't afford your services. They don't make great clients. And as soon as you can focus your efforts and your marketing towards people who are ready, willing, and able to pay for them, it completely changes the game. But you also, oh, go ahead.
I think that that last part, though, really comes from a place of confidence as well. I think that
Mhm,
our interactions are a reflection of what we
mhm,
think about ourselves. And
mhm,
think about the value of our time.
Right.
Good and well. When you are reaching out to someone or corresponding with them, you can tell within 5 minutes whether
Mhm.
this person is going to be able to pay for my services, whether this is going to be a good fit. And still, because I've
Mhm.
been there before too, we
Yeah.
engage in conversations that aren't going to go anywhere because
Mhm.
we're questioning somewhere, maybe not
Mhm.
consciously, but subconsciously, we're questioning
Mhm.
and questioning our own worth. And we think
Mhm.
that, maybe we can make it work with this person, or maybe something there. There's
Right.
nothing there. There's nothing there. And the sooner that we can realize that and raise our own value and raise our own vibrations, the sooner that we can step into this kind of fearless female founder energy.
Mhm. There's kind of a saying, I don't know what to call it, that like if you want to sell a 10K package, you need to pay for a 10K package. And I don't think that is 100% true, but I think there's something to that principle that if you want to charge high ticket prices, you need to put yourself in the shoes of your potential clients and customers and practice being someone makes purchases easily. And that doesn't mean that you don't have a budget or that you pretend you have more money than you do. But one thing that I love to do when I go to a restaurant and I tip, I try to tip as generously as I can. And I try to actually feel grateful for spending the money. Right. So I'm not just paying because I have to, but I'm paying because I choose to pay someone else for their
Mhm.
time and their service. And you can do that anytime you make a purchase. Right. But coming from a place of, I'm grateful to spend this money. One of my favorite thoughts is my ideal clients love to hire help. Like
Yeah.
they actually love to reach out to me and have me help them because I'm taking so much off their plate. I'm helping their business grow so much. You can think the same way. I love to hire help. I love to pay for help. I love to tip generously. All of those things create an attitude of abundance that allows you to raise your prices and for you to charge more without feeling like you're going to throw up when you tell someone how much it costs, right?
Yeah, it's really about who we're becoming, not
Yeah.
who we are, right? I think that, whether it's the fake it till you make it or the,
Mhm.
portraying the person you want to become, it's about
Mhm.
aligning with that energy. Again, we're coming back to
Mhm.
this concept of alignment. And I remember the first time I did this for myself personally, because business career, I've always been fine. I'm willing to spend, spend, spend. It's whatever.
Yes.
But personally,
Mhm.
I realized that I had this blockage. And so it actually wasn't too long ago, I paid a lot of money
Mhm.
on this incredible retreat that was in the States. So, like, usually when I'm spending this type of money, I'm like staying five-star resort somewhere
Yes.
out of the country. And this was literally to go to Arizona for a week and just like heal and meditate and
Mhm.
all the things. And it didn't hit me until after I made the purchase of like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm just gonna
Mhm.
go on this retreat. It's gonna be amazing. And I remember like crying afterwards because I was like, I am giving myself permission to be the person that I know that I am, that I'm becoming. I'm giving myself permission to do that and saying that I'm worth it. And I think that whether it's with business or in life,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to take a little bit, not a risk, it wasn't a financial risk, but you have to
Sure.
invest in yourself,
Yes.
that you're worth
Yes.
the investment.
I say all the time with my own clients, the investment is part of the transformation.
Mhm.
And something truly extraordinary happens when my clients invest with me, make this purchase. All of a sudden, it changes the way they think about themselves and the way they think about their business, right? And they no longer think that what they are charging is too much or that it's not worth it. They suddenly think, of course, I have invested in my business. This is the way that you grow. This is how I can help my own clients, my own students, whoever it is, right? And so a lot of people back in the day, this doesn't really happen anymore, but back in the day, I would sometimes get requests for like trades. Oh,
Mhm.
can I give you this and you'll give me a website? And I made a powerful decision that I was no longer available for trades. It wasn't worth my time. I don't need the things that they're offering. I run this business to make a profit. And it was just amazing how as soon as I did that, and I've just been very, very kind, but very clear. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a personal boundary. I don't do trades. This is my price. This is how it works. How many people would say, oh, I would love to not do trades? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can. Like, I have just given you permission.
Believing. Yeah, it's believing that you can and stepping to that energy. So I want to
Mhm.
pivot and talk about
Yeah.
because it's what you know best. So
Yes.
personal branding versus business branding. I want to talk about how we show up and the importance of our own personal brands. What can you tell us?
Yes. Well, it's so interesting because as I was like writing things down for this conversation, I made this like cycle diagram.
Yeah.
Where it's the way that we think about confidence, because I really think that as a branding expert, what I'm offering is confidence. We think that we have to be confident before we build a brand, before we show up online, but really showing up online and building a brand is what gives us confidence. And it creates this cycle where it's kind of a chicken and egg thing where you just have to start and one will come. And the example that I use all the time is like, imagine if you told somebody like, once I get a six pack, then I'll go to the gym. And it's like, no, 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 you go to the gym to get a six pack. You're not expected to have one before you're there. And I think that happens with my clients. Like once my business hits this certain point, or once I am this confident, or once I've signed this level of client, then I will invest in my brand. And it's like, no, actually, your brand is what allows you to do those things. So when it comes to personal branding, if I could offer a little framework,
Yeah.
I think it starts with the very basics, which is just you have to be visible online. So I talk a lot about like, where do you live? Where do people find you? And you need to have a home that you can decorate. That's the example that I use all the time, right? So you have to have, whether that's your social media profile or a website, you have to have some place that you can make your own. People can come and say, oh, this is what Rebecca Peterson Studio is all about. And they can see that. So you have to start with that. And then once you're there, you build what I call your brand identity and your brand value. Okay. And this is like, don't let me make it boring because it's really not boring. What you're doing when you're building a brand is you're taking whatever you sell at like this top face value and you're saying, okay, but what am I really offering? What is the feeling that people get when they experience what I'm selling? So I mentioned it for me with branding, I'm offering confidence. I'm offering the chance to show up as the business owner that you want to be. Okay. The example that I use sometimes is an artist. They sell fine oil portraits. Okay. That's what they're selling. That's the top level. But what's the deeper meaning, that feeling that they're giving? Well, they're offering you the chance to create a family heirloom, to memorialize someone that you love forever. And all of a sudden, do you see how the value goes from just, oh, I'm selling a piece of art and I'm going to charge you for the frame and the oil and the canvas to I'm creating a legacy. And what is that legacy worth to you? And you can feel how all of a sudden that value increases. So
Yeah.
when I talk about, I'm going to help you brand yourself, I'm going to help you create value. I'm not talking about like smoke and mirrors, right? Like pretending to be something you're not. I'm talking about really identifying that deeper meaning that is intrinsically more valuable that people can see. Because as soon as you say, I'm giving you the chance to create something that your kids will pass down for a lifetime, people are willing to pay more for that. And that's what we're doing with branding. So you take that, that base level visibility, you add that value and that identity to it, and then you use the right visuals, right? So we have to say, okay, how do you want people to perceive you? Do you want to be the luxury coach? Do you want to be the super affordable service provider? We figure out the right way to make you look, to make you talk. What do you say? How do you say it? And then over time, that creates your brand recognition, where you become recognized as not just maybe a go-to, but the foremost authority on
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're doing. And this is really where I think personal branding differs from an overall business brand is we want a business brand to deliver on the promises they're making, but we want a personal brand to be the authority. We want them to be the leader. You don't
Mhm.
want to work with somebody who's like, I don't really know. I have lots of ideas. I'm a good contributor. You want to work with somebody who's the expert. Something that I say all the time is you don't have to position yourself as an expert only if you want to make lots of money because we expect that amateurs will charge less than an expert.
Mhm.
And in branding, which my specialty is helping you position yourself as an expert, the opportunity for that is that you can charge a lot more and make a lot more money. So that's kind of my framework. You have to get visible, you have to build that value. And a really good brand strategist, this is what I do, is going to know exactly what to ask you to be able to put that together. So it's not just, okay, tell me what you do and who you do it for. It's, okay, and how long have they been struggling with that? And why is it wrong that they have that trial?
Mhm.
What can you do to help them? What do you wish all your clients knew? It's these really deep questions that can get at that intangible feeling that you want to create. And I think it's the difference in the book Obsessed, which is about brand building, which I would highly recommend. She talks about Nike and how their kind of way of elevating their brand beyond just selling shoes is to make everybody an athlete.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect example that you are taking what you do and you're saying, here's the kind of person you can be with my products or programs or services. And here's how I help you get there. And I just think it's hugely powerful. And it's also, it doesn't have to be so complicated, right? If you can work with somebody who can ask you the right questions and who has expertise in knowing how to put it all together, I think you'd be surprised how quickly your audience recognizes you as an expert and as an authority and is willing to pay those kinds of prices.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I think that sometimes, we hear these things and then we think, well, could that be me?
Hmm.
Could I be an expert? Like, could
Hmm.
I position myself in this way?
Hmm.
And I think overcoming that question, that mindset is key. And it's a part of, again, looking at not where you are or how
Hmm.
you feel, because I forget the statistic, but the vast majority of our thoughts are negative thoughts. So
Hmm.
don't
Yeah.
really your thoughts to be like your motivating factor here and tell you
Right.
the best. Think about, all right, this is where I see myself. Because
Mhm.
that vision,
Mhm.
inspiration, that is divine inspiration. That is not just something that you've conjured up. That's a snapshot of your future if you're willing and ready to believe in it.
Mhm.
So I think that a part of what I did years ago was like stepping into that energy and just like taking all the risks and taking the chances and being like, I'm this boss bitch and this is what I'm going to do.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
remember when I took a course on brand strategy because this is a long story short, but basically I was like, I want to offer branding, but I'm the kind of person like when I want to do something, I want to do it right. And I
Mhm.
want to do it like all the way. So I was like, I'm not just going to be like a branding person. I'm going to be the best. So I took this course on brand strategy and literally the very first module, this teacher was saying, okay, you are now a brand strategist. Congratulations. And I want you to go and put it in your Instagram bio right now. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, I don't know anything. I'm not a brand strategist. And I went and I did it. And I was like, I'm a fraud. Like, people are going to call me out. But it did something as soon as I declared it, right? Like, yes, this is who I am and this is what I do. It changed the way that I saw myself, which changed the way other people saw me. And so I do think there is power in sometimes just declaring it and saying, this is who I am and this is who I want to be. And I also think that we can get so caught up in this idea of like, am I the very best in the entire world? Right. And I just don't think that thinking that way really serves us. I think it's a lot better to say, am I constantly refining my craft? Am I continually learning and growing? And can I help my ideal clients? I ask myself this all the time. Can I help my ideal clients resonate with their target audience and make more money in their business through high ticket sales? And I'm like, absolutely, yes, I can do that. Okay, then let's go. Like, stop
Yeah.
into the doubt and let's go for it.
Yeah, I think that positioning is really important too, because it's admonishing this comparison. Am I the best? Am I the
Mhm.
best? The best
Mhm.
is subjective. So there's what is the best?
Mhm.
Be the best version of you. You have to show up and do what you can do on any given day. And sometimes our capacity, let's say
Yes.
total capacity is a 10.
Yep.
Sometimes your capacity for that day literally is a 5.
Yes.
Your best showing up on that day, you
Mhm.
show up 5 and you
Mhm.
know what 5 can do.
Yes.
And when you
Yes.
have the capacity for a 6, be a 6. If you have the capacity for a 10, be a 10.
Mhm.
But it's not about being the best, Rebecca versus this person or Jocelyn
Yes.
versus that person. It's,
Yes.
am I showing up and giving all that I have in this moment? And so on that note, I want
Mhm.
to know what you do on those days or times where you may just be feeling like a 5, like how
Oh, yeah.
get through that and get to the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say, going back to what we were saying with pricing, I do not compare my prices with other people. I just don't. It's not helpful. My price is mine and their price is theirs, and they have nothing to do with each other. And it does not serve me to go around and be like, oh, this designer is charging way less than me. Like, am I charging too much? Or this person is charging more than me. Should I try and raise my prices? Like, I think that's where we really get in our heads, especially as women. It feels like we really struggle with this. And I was literally just thinking this today because I downloaded the Instagram Threads app and I was like, everyone already has more followers than me. And I feel all this pressure to be really funny and clever. And I'm just boring old me. And I literally just deleted the app. I was like, you know what? The best thing I can do for myself and my business right now is go within. And so I kind of, in my mind, I see it as like, I'm looking around and I'm taking a little bit here and I'm taking a little bit there and I'm trying to find inspiration from everywhere else instead of going within and listening to my inner compass and saying, what is the right move for my business? What is the right price? What is the right decision? What's the right niche? Whatever it is for my business. And I like to say that I make powerful decisions. And if I need to change my mind, I make a powerful decision to change my mind because that's how we need to view ourselves. And I think it's really, really easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing and forget to just do that, to just go with it. And this is a very practical thing, but something that has really, really helped me. So I wanted to share when I am feeling discouraged, because it happens to me too. I don't want anybody to listen to this and think, oh, Rebecca is always confident and always raises her prices perfectly. I don't, but I do work really, really hard to serve my clients. And one thing that has helped me, well, I should say two things. One is collecting feedback. And I ask for feedback a lot from my clients because that's how I measure whether we're reaching their goals. So I ask for feedback a lot and I am completely open to both positive and negative feedback because I am committed to my own growth and serving my clients the very best that I can. And that's important to me. And the other is that I keep track of all of that feedback and I refer to it when I'm trying to remember why the heck I started doing this and if I'm really helping anybody at all. And I go through that and I say, "Oh, I helped my client sign 3 clients in a week. I helped my
Right.
client double her prices. I helped my client launch a course that brought in $500,000. I can do this. I am good at this. And it's okay if I take 24 hours off of Instagram to figure it out a little bit."
Yeah.
So that's my strategy for
Mhm.
doing this. And one thing that I do a lot is I get off the app, I delete the app, and I take a break because
Yeah.
it's just too much. And like I said, if I'm making decisions based on what other people are doing, that's never the best decision for me. My best decisions always come from my own alignment and integrity. But that can be hard to create when we're constantly consuming what other people are doing.
Yeah, I think that the alignment piece is key. And I want to, before I talk about alignment, want to talk about the evidence. So I think
Yes.
we forget about the evidence. I think
Mhm.
we forget about the fact that like we've had hundreds of rough days and hard times,
Yes.
and we're still
Yes.
here and we're still standing. And so on those days where we're feeling like a 3, we're feeling like a 5, we're feeling subpar,
Mhm.
evidence is always to the contrary. The evidence
Mhm.
is the fact that you're still here, you're still working, despite the fact that all of these things have happened, not
Mhm.
to you, but for you and through you, even if it doesn't seem like it,
Mhm.
are here. And
Mhm.
you're not here like floating about
Mhm.
mindlessly and aimlessly. You're here for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And when we step into alignment, we're able to realize what that purpose is. We're
Mhm.
able to understand that through the days of being a 3 and a 5, we'll eventually get back to a 10 because
Mhm.
one thing that the human mind does, if there's one thing it does, it's wander.
Yes.
Think. but our souls, our spirits are always there and they're always true. And so going back in, when you said that, it really resonated, going back in and
Yeah.
going to source, the source within, God within
Mhm.
us, you're
Mhm.
able to really realize, okay, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
This is doing, this is what's happened. This part
Mhm.
sucks, but this is what I'm going to learn from it. I
Mhm.
think it's so invaluable. So
Mhm.
before I let you go,
Yes.
what does confidence mean to you?
Okay. I love this question. I've been thinking about it a lot because to me, confidence is something that comes from within. It's not something that is relative to what anybody else does or thinks or says about me. It is in isolation, right? I can have confidence. And confidence is not the same thing as authority. Confidence is not the same thing as judgment. It's not being better than other people. Confidence is your inner knowing that who you are is valuable, important, and worth knowing for other people. And I also want to add that I believe that you are separate from your business, and your business worth is different than your personal worth. And don't get those two mixed up, right? Don't assume that if your business is thriving, that that means you're doing great as a person, or that if your business is failing, that you are failing as a person, because they are two separate things. But I like to think that our business can teach us and help us grow as individuals. And that's why I love my work so much, because I am helping people through their business elevate their own self-image where they can make powerful decisions. They can raise their prices to a place that feels good to them, and they can have the confidence to continue to grow and progress as they learn and evolve.
I love that. Any final words of wisdom you have for us?
Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful to be here today. I just had a thought. There's a book that I love that I would totally recommend. It sounds intense, but it's actually super interesting. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics, and it's written by a plastic surgeon, and it has helped me a lot really understand what confidence is and how the way we present ourselves relates to our confidence. So if you have a takeaway, I would say check out that book, and please let me know what you think about it, and don't worry about what other people are doing when you're developing your own confidence.
I love that. I will drop the link to the book below so that you can pick it up on Amazon. And Rebecca, thank you so, so much for joining
Thank
me.
you. This has been delightful. Thank you so much for creating a space to have this conversation. I really appreciate it.